Hey man, listen up, because what I'm about to tell you will change how you think about attraction forever. You know that feeling when you can't get someone out of your head? When they're stuck there like a song on repeat? Well, today, we're flipping the script. We're talking about how to become that person, the one she can't stop thinking about, the one who lives rent-free in her mind even when you're not around. See, most guys think being memorable is about grand gestures, expensive gifts, or constant attention. But that's where they get it dead wrong. The men who truly stay on a woman's mind, they do something completely different, something most guys never even consider. And once you understand this, you'll never look at attraction the same way again. So buckle up, because by the end of this, you'll know exactly how to become unforgettable. Let's dive in. First, you leave conversations unfinished. Here's something most men get backwards. They think keeping a woman interested means telling her everything, sharing every detail, giving her the full story. But that's amateur hour. The guys who stay on her mind, they do the opposite. They create gaps. They leave her wanting more. Think about your favorite TV show. What keeps you coming back? It's not the episodes that wrap everything up perfectly. It's the cliffhangers, the unanswered questions, the what happens next feeling. That's exactly what you need to do. When you're texting, don't give her your whole life story. When you're talking, don't explain every single detail. Leave some mystery. Let her imagination fill in the blanks. Because here's the psychological truth. Her brain will work overtime trying to complete the picture. And while it's working, you're occupying mental real estate. I'm not saying be vague or confusing. I'm saying be strategic. If she asks what you did today, don't give her a minute-by-minute breakdown. Give her the highlight and let her curiosity do the rest. Women are naturally curious creatures. And when you feed that curiosity just enough to keep it alive, you become addictive. Second, you're unpredictably consistent. Most guys think they need to be available 24/7, always responding immediately, always saying yes to everything. But here's where they mess up. Predictability kills attraction. When she knows exactly how you'll react, exactly when you'll text back, exactly what you'll say, you become boring. But unpredictable consistency, that's the sweet spot. You're consistent in your values, your standards, your core personality, but unpredictable in your availability, your responses, your energy. One day, you're the guy who takes 5 minutes to respond. The next day, you take 5 hours. Not because you're playing games, but because you have a life worth living. Women are attracted to men who have options, who have things going on, who aren't sitting by their phone waiting for her message. When you respond on your timeline, not hers. When you show up when you want to, not when you're expected to, you create tension. And tension is magnetic. Here's what happens in her mind. She starts wondering what you're doing, who you're with, why you're not responding immediately. And while she's wondering, you're taking up space in her thoughts. That's exactly where you want to be. Third, you challenge her worldview. Listen, most guys try to agree with everything she says. They become yes men, thinking that's what she wants. But attractive men, they do something different. They challenge her, not in a disrespectful way, but in a way that makes her think. When she makes a statement, don't just nod and agree. Ask her why she thinks that. Share a different perspective. Make her defend her position, not aggressively, but intellectually. Women are attracted to men who can hold their own in a conversation, who can make them see things differently. I had a friend who told me about a guy she couldn't stop thinking about. She said, he was the only person who ever challenged my opinions. Everyone else just agreed with me, but he made me think. He made me question things. And that was incredibly attractive. When you challenge someone's thinking, you force them to engage with you on a deeper level. You're not just another guy who tells her what she wants to hear. You're the guy who makes her mind work. And when her mind is working on something you said, you're staying relevant in her thoughts. Fourth, you have emotional range. Here's something most men don't understand. Women are emotional creatures, not in a bad way, but in the sense that they connect through feelings. Most guys operate on one emotional level all the time, either always serious, always joking, or always trying to be smooth. But the men who stay on her mind, they have range. They can be serious when the moment calls for it, playful when it's appropriate, vulnerable when it's genuine, and strong when it's needed. This emotional flexibility keeps her guessing, keeps her engaged. One moment you're making her laugh, the next you're having a deep conversation about life. Then you're teasing her, then you're being protective. This range creates an emotional experience, and experiences are what stick in memory. Think about the most memorable people in your life. They're not the ones who were always the same. They're the ones who surprised you, who showed you different sides of themselves, who created emotional moments that stuck with you. That's exactly what you need to become. Fifth, You don't need her validation. This one's crucial, and it separates the boys from the men. When you don't need her approval, her validation, her constant attention, something powerful happens. You become intriguing. Most guys are so focused on getting her to like them that they lose themselves in the process. But when you maintain your identity, when you have your own goals, your own interests, your own life that continues with or without her, you become magnetic. It's not that you don't care about her, it's that you don't need her to complete you. Women can sense neediness from a mile away, and it's repulsive. But self-sufficiency, confidence in your own worth, that's attractive. When she realizes that you want her in your life but you don't need her to validate your existence, she starts thinking, what makes him so secure? And while she's trying to figure that out, you're occupying her thoughts. She starts wondering what it would be like to be chosen by someone who has options, to be wanted by someone who doesn't need anyone. Sixth, you create shared secrets. This one's subtle but powerful. When you create moments that belong only to you and her, inside jokes, shared experiences, moments that no one else understands, you're building emotional connection. Maybe it's a conversation you had at 2 a.m. Maybe it's a joke that started from something random. Maybe it's a moment when you saw something in her that no one else noticed. These shared secrets create bonds, and bonds create lasting impressions. Every time she encounters something that reminds her of that shared moment, she thinks of you. Every time she wants to reference that inside joke, she thinks of you. You become connected to positive memories, and positive memories have staying power. Seventh, you maintain your standards. Here's where most guys go wrong. The moment they like a woman, they lower their standards. They accept behavior they wouldn't normally accept. They compromise their values. They become a different person. But the men who stay on her mind, they do the opposite. They maintain their standards. They don't compromise who they are for anyone. And paradoxically, this makes them more attractive, not less. When you show her that you have standards, that you won't accept just anything from anyone, you communicate value. She starts thinking, if he has high standards and he's interested in me, what does that say about me? It's a psychological trigger that works every time. People are attracted to those who are selective about who they spend time with. Let me tell you something. Attraction isn't about being the nicest guy or the most accommodating guy. It's about being the most interesting guy, the guy who creates an experience, the guy who leaves an impression. When you master these signs, when you become unpredictably consistent, when you challenge her thinking, when you show emotional range, when you don't need validation, when you create shared moments, and when you maintain your standards, you become unforgettable. You stop being just another guy who's interested in her, and you become the guy she can't stop thinking about, the one who occupies space in her mind even when he's not around. But here's the most important part. This isn't about manipulation or games. This is about becoming genuinely interesting, genuinely valuable, genuinely attractive. When you develop these qualities, you don't just become someone she thinks about, you become someone worth thinking about. So pay attention to how you show up in her life. Are you predictable, or are you creating intrigue? Are you challenging her, or just agreeing with everything? Are you maintaining your standards, or compromising yourself? Because here's the truth. The moment you become forgettable is the moment you start trying too hard to be remembered. Instead, focus on being worth remembering and watch how everything changes. Remember, my guy, staying on her mind isn't about tricks or tactics. It's about becoming the kind of man who naturally occupies mental space because he's created an experience, because he's left an impression, because he's shown her something she hasn't seen before.